Hello and welcome to Good Business. I'm your host, Nicole Murray. We've got a full show lined up for you today where we look into some of the difficulties that many first-time small business owners face. First up, we'll be talking to Kevin Spark, who is a business branding expert, and Terry Ann Palmer, a personal and business coach. Then Carolyn Ulchin will be talking to us about how to find out and hire the right kind of staff for your business. Then lastly, Brian Disanyaki will be telling us why, as an employer, making sure you have your staff well trained is such a vital tool for your business. Well, first up today, we have Kevin Spark, Onion Creative, in the studio to tell us about branding a business. Hi, Kevin. Welcome to the show.
Hi, Nicole. It's a pleasure.
So, Kevin, how did you get involved in business branding?
I studied graphic design back in the UK quite a long time ago. We moved out to Australia about 5 years ago, and it's a natural progression. I think whenever you deal in the communication industry as a whole, from design, whether it's straightforward graphic design or whether it's advertising, essentially what you're doing is all about exploring your brand and how you best promote your brand.
Yeah, okay. So let's just define business branding. I'm sure it's more than just having a nice logo.
Well, it is. I mean, a logo is important, but it's certainly not the brand. It's, you know, a kind of logo sits at very much the apex of a brand, but essentially what a brand is the personality of your business. So when you talk to your customers or your market base, you really need to identify not only what you say, but who you are as well. The sort of the tone of voice, the right kind of message, and also what sets you apart from your competition. That's all encapsulated in the brand. A brand is a much more kind of strategic device than just simply the aesthetics behind the brand.
Okay, so why do you feel it's so important to get a business to get that branding right?
If you don't get the brand right, you'll ultimately sort of confuse your market because they won't really know who you are, what you're about, what you're trying to say. It's very much, I mean, if you boil it down to a brand, put simply, is the personality of your company or your organisation. In the same way that when you wake up in the morning, you make a choice of what clothes to wear, whether you want to have a shower or you choose not to. You know, it's how you project yourself. It's exactly the same with an organisation. So it's crucial you get that right. So if you don't get it right and you enter the market and your point of difference is literally just a price point, there's no future-proofing to your organisation. You know, in fact, that's really just a race to the bottom.
There's no strength and foundation from which the business can grow in that sense.
Well, that's right. And there's nothing that stops a competitor entering into your market and offering a cut price version of what you've already got.
Okay, so when a client comes to you and wants to brand their business, be it a first-time new business owner or even rebrand a business, what's the process? How do you take them through that?
Well, if you're setting up a new company or a new organisation, you'll have obviously done your market research, and that's a core element to any sort of branding strategy. So you look at who the market is, who you want to talk to first, identify exactly those sort of market streams, break it down into that sort of market segmentation, and then look at what sets you apart from the competition. As soon as you can start to rationalise, you know, who you are and what your offer is, then you've got all the tools to actually start to create a brand.
Okay, and so when you work with a client, do you work with small business owners or large businesses, particular industries, or?
I work with a variety of people from, I have one client who's a global corporation, and they're based nationally across Australia, but they have hubs in Australia, Asia and the UK. But at the same time, I work for a small nutraceutical company in Brisbane, which is just local to the region. So it depends. The same criteria applies for both in terms of how you deliver a message and what you want to say. So there's no real distinction. The only difference for a large organisation and a small one is for a large one, you kind of have to look at different mechanics to get your message out in a much broader framework.
Okay, and so what are some of the common mistakes that you see business owners make when they go about branding their business?
They buy a piece of clip art and stick it on a letterhead and call it a brand, you know, generally. and that's not a brand. As soon as that happens, they're in a place where they've got an inferior logo that doesn't necessarily represent who they are, and they haven't really identified any of their market strategies, what it is they want to say, and how they want to say it. So subsequently, they're always kind of behind the 8 ball, and they're always playing catch up. So they look at the market leaders and see what they're doing, and try and sort of emulate them, but they'll emulate them in a slightly more inferior way.
Okay, all right. Well, it's been interesting to chat with you today, Kevin. Thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it.
Oh, it's a pleasure.
Okay, all right. Well, if you want to check out Onion Creative, please go to their website, www.onioncreative.com.au. Well, last week our production team went on location to interview Terry-Ann Palmer about her work as a personal and business coach and co-founder of BMS Fusion. Here it is. Well, I'm here on a gorgeous spring day at Clear Island Waters on the Gold Coast with personal and business coach Terry-Ann Palmer from BMS Fusion. Hi Terry-Ann, thanks for joining us.
My pleasure.
So Terry-Ann, how did you get started in the business?
Well, for me, I came out of a corporate background. I was in sales for about 15 years, and one of my driving forces, I suppose, was to figure out what I was passionate about. So I discovered image consulting was one of my passions, and I started up an image consulting business that ran for about 5 years. In that journey of the image consulting business, I developed a self-help, was doing a lot of personal development programs, and also evolved into, I suppose the business evolved into something much bigger than image consulting. One of the things we discovered was, from a personal branding perspective especially, was that in order to be able to develop a personal brand, a person has to know who they are. And so the business now really is looking at the person on who they are, right at their core level, so at the core of who they are. One of our philosophies is your business is a reflection of you, so as you grow, so too will your business. So we work on the individual, the entrepreneur, the business owner themselves to grow and evolve as a person who's able to then go out and do all the things that they need to do from a business perspective. So we have two arms to our business. We have our coaching business, which comes under BMS Fusion Coaching, and that works one-on-one, really digging deep down at the core issues of a person and the core of who they are. And then we also have the Life Mastery Club, which is a 12-month membership program where a group of entrepreneurs and small business owners all come together. We immerse ourselves every couple of months, and then we have online programs and that also support that. All about growing not only the person but also the business and working together, kind of like a community, I suppose, to grow all together and then go out and teach that to the communities and the people, like a ripple effect, I suppose.
So what sort of clients do you tend to attract to your coaching business?
So we have two types of clients. The first type will be what I call our go-getters. So they're the ones that are fairly successful already in their either business or personal life or whatever it is that they happen to be doing. And they recognise the importance of a coach. So like Natalie Cook was one of our clients who just came back from the Olympics, and we've been working with her for the past 2 to 3 years now in her preparation to go to the Olympics and achieve what she's achieved. Now, one of the things that most people recognise is that you wouldn't play a sport without a coach. Yet in life or in business, many people don't get a coach, which is kind of, I say, hey, this is ridiculous. Why would you contemplate doing marketing or business or any aspect of your life without having somebody who's there to coach you, support you, and help you, progress and improve with what you're doing? It's no different to sports. So we have those types of people who recognise that importance, and then we have the other type of person who's in pain. So to put it simply, they're in some type of pain, whether it's financial pain, business pain where they've got confusion or they don't know what they need to do next, or whether it be personal pain, relationship pain, career pain, physical pain. Yeah. So it's kind of like those two scenarios. We've got those who are go-getters looking for that way to improve their business or improve their lives, and we've got those who are in pain and looking for a solution or a solution to help them out of their pain or overcome the obstacles or problems that they're currently facing.
Yeah. So in terms of branding, tell us how important it is to have a personal brand within your business and what you believe that to be.
So for me, personal branding, I kind of attack this from two sides. One, from an image consultant, I'd say, look, personal brand is 100% the thing that's going to make the massive difference. Yeah. From the business coaching side, it's not the thing that's going to make the difference, and it's not something that I would say is your number one priority. However, it's a very important part of the packaging. Personal branding in itself is really just how you market yourself. Now, the key problem that we find, so I did, like a long time in the business of purely just doing the personal branding side of things. But what I discovered was a lot of people weren't able to really develop a really strong brand that had sustainability. Yep. And we're all about sustainability in our coaching and our business, is making sure that whatever you do, you've got a strong foundation to be able to build a solid business or a solid life or a solid person of who you are, so that whatever obstacles or challenges come up, whatever the economic climate is, so to speak, nothing's going to knock you over. And what I discovered when I was just doing the image consulting was that to build a really strong personal brand, you have to know who you are. And that's where I suppose the rest of the business has developed and evolved. It's about finding out who you are, what you're passionate about, what your strengths are, and then developing that brand around that part of you, so that people respect you. You have that influencing factor because they know who you are, they trust you, and you also have that stability, which is what a lot of people want. It's stability, security, and reliability, that you're going to deliver what it is that you promise all the time.
How do you help clients get through that process?
So we have a number of different programs that we run. Within our business, we have a couple of different legs. So BMS Fusion is our coaching arm of the business, and that's where we do one-on-one personal coaching with people. So that's really about delving, I suppose, deep down into what's going on for them, who they are, what are their strengths, and really, I suppose, stripping back the mask and the layers that they've acquired over the years to find out where their strength is, or where their inner core is, and who they truly are. So that's one arm of the business. The second arm of the business is what we call the Life Mastery Club, and that club is all about working with all facets of your life. Like I said, business is a reflection of you, and as you grow, so too will your business, or so too will your success. So in the Life Mastery Club, we get together in a group of people, so it's about a committed group of entrepreneurs and small business owners, all coming together in a community way to work together, not only in developing themselves, but also in their businesses, and then going out and making that change or teaching what they've learned to others in the community around them. So it's kind of like more about the ripple effect.
Oh, the ripple effect, yeah. Oh, that's wonderful. Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Terry Ann, for joining us. It's been a pleasure talking to you about the coaching world.
My pleasure.
Well, if you want to have a look at BMS Fusion or the Life Mastery Club, check out their website, www.bmsfusion.com and www.lifemasteryclub.com.au. Well, after the break, we'll be talking to Carolyn Alchin about how to conduct the perfect job interview to make sure you hire the right people for your business. Stay tuned. Welcome back. Have you ever had trouble finding the right staff? Are you unsure about what questions to ask when conducting a job interview? Well, we have Carolyn Alchin with us today to give us some helpful tips on how to prepare for your next interview. Hi Carolyn, thanks for joining us.
Hi Nicole, how are you?
Good, thank you.
That's good.
So Carolyn, tell us about your role as a career learning consultant.
As a career learning consultant, I help students to find out what they are actually suited for and what they'd actually like to do in regards to their skills and attributes, and certainly what the labour market's doing, and choices in regards to what their values are and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. What I also do is I work as a graduate transition consultant, so I work a lot with industry in regards to finding out what they're looking for their staff and their graduate market, etc.
So both ends of the scale, so
absolutely.
You get to see it all.
It's a stakeholder relationship.
Yeah. And so what sort of challenges do you find small business owners have when they decide, okay, I need to hire someone new? that process?
Well, I think firstly, sometimes it's a cost initiative actually being able to advertise that role and knowing where they can advertise it and for what price to get the best pool of applicants. Secondly, how to advertise that role, making it sound appealing and yet making sure that it's the real thing and it isn't sort of misappropriating what the role would actually be. I also think that they have trouble in regards to a gap analysis. People often like hiring people that they like and that are similar to them, and sometimes there's gaps in the sort of skill base that need to be met that might not be similarities with the owner or the CEO in a small business sort of area.
Okay, so what sort of things should a business owner look at when they go to advertise for a staff member? So questions that they need to ask, how they describe the job, how does that work?
Well, when they're advertising the role, it's very, very important that they advertise it so that they actually get a pool of applicants. They want to get the maximum number of people that they can choose from. Secondly, I think when they're looking at questions and what to ask, getting demonstrable examples from the people that they're interviewing. So rather than asking closed yes/no questions, they need to be able to say, so describe to me how you would react in this situation or that situation, and ensuring at all times that they ask the same questions to all applicants. One of the greatest issues that come up is the difficulty to choose between different applicants. If you've asked them different questions, it's not a level playing field.
Yeah, you're not comparing apples with apples.
Yeah, and you want to avoid any sort of discrimination. So asking the same questions of everyone means that it is that level playing field. Some employers are very, very nice. They want their interviewees to feel very, very comfortable, and that's rightly so. But some fall into the trap of coaching the interviewee into the right answer, which obviously, if everyone's got the right answer, how do you choose between them? So yeah, that makes it a difficult
So how do you
one.
help them with that process?
Well, with working with employers, it's about looking at what the needs of the business are, creating questions that illustrate, or an answer would illustrate, meeting the need of the business, and then working out questions that you could flesh out the answer from, and then providing those to the employer can help them to get a really wide-ranging vision of the people that they're interviewing.
Okay, and so what about first impressions? How important is that, or can that be deceiving?
Well, I think it can be deceiving, but that's highly problematic for both the interviewer and the interviewee. It may be a wonderful job, but if the employer's running tremendously late, the interviewee comes in, the employer's looking stressed and angry, that may not be a true vision of what that job is. Equally, the opposite can happen. Everybody can look ultra professional, and in actual fact, they go to work in boardies and a t-shirt every day.
Yeah.
And the same is true from an interviewee's perception. You can be absolutely wonderful, but possibly not be showing yourself up to be that. I think that in both situations, you want to be judged on what you're doing and what you know and how you're going to do it, rather than what you look like.
Okay.
So the more bland and professional, the better.
Yeah. And skill over attitude?
Well, according to a lot of the research, it's predominantly attitude, in all honesty, and that general employability. So thinking about things like your communication skills, your teamwork skills, problem solving, self-management. If you rock up late for an interview, it's highly unlikely that people are going to think that you have a wonderful attitude and an enthusiasm for a role. Or equally, from an employer's perspective, how organised are you if you can't stay on time?
Yeah, so it's a whole
Absolutely
attitude, skill,
paramount.
impression.
It's
challenging.
holistic, absolutely.
It's holistic but challenging at the same time.
Definitely,
Yeah. Okay.
very challenging.
All right, well thanks so much, Carolyn. We really appreciate that for coming
No
in.
problems. Thank you for having me.
Pleasure. All right. Well, when we come back, we'll be talking to Brian Distanyaki about how important it is to keep your staff trained, no matter how large the business you have. Stay tuned. Well, welcome back. Now we have Brian Disanyaki in the studio to tell us about how to keep yourself and your staff trained. Hi Brian, thanks for joining us.
Hi Nicole, thanks for having me over.
It's a pleasure. So Brian, tell us about Paramount Skills and Training. What sort of services do you offer?
Okay, Paramount Skills and Training is a training outsourcing company. We were first formed when we identified that there was a need for the small to medium-sized businesses to train their staff. In particular, there has been a lot of government funding out there that most of the businesses were not aware about it. So what we did was we prospected the small to medium-sized businesses. We went over, did a needs analysis on their staff training, and from that we identified what sort of training they needed. And then on the other hand, we negotiated and put into place alliances with leading registered training organizations known as RTOs. And obviously we selected the best. Some of the criteria that they had to meet was the professionalism and the quality of delivery of training. So having put that into place, it was much more easy for us then to deliver the right training in the right segment from the right people.
So effectively you joined the business with the staff and the training organisation.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly, yeah.
Okay. So how important is it for a small business owner to train their staff and train them regularly?
Oh, it is very, very important. I mean, I can't emphasize that because there's a lot of lack of training of staff training in small businesses, mainly because the business owners are probably too busy to get their staff trained, or some of them do have the impression that once their staff are trained, that they will leave the organization. But that's different, you know. Because once staff are trained, the value that the staff could add is that the staff gets upskilled themselves, they increase their knowledge, and they also increase productivity. And the end result means that the business would be, it will assist the business in their growth. Because the contributions by the staff. And also what they don't realize is that they could then retain the staff because they would be seen as an employer of choice, you know, providing regular training programs, and also at the same time they could discover talent of the staff. And in cases like getting the right leaders for the right positions in there, that's where it comes to the surface that you could discover leadership skills too.
Yeah, that staff didn't know they had certain skills, and it becomes uncovered through that process. Yeah.
And also, not only the staff, I would also think that business owners should take time off in getting trained themselves, because there's a number of, you would see that there would be a number of businesses that have been started up due to the skills of the business owner. Like he might have been a mechanic, so he's decided to start his own mechanical company, or he might have been a baker. But in actual fact, he's a real technician there. What he lacks is probably a training so that he might be able to foster the team environment for his staff, and also be able to provide some personal development for them.
Yeah, and leadership skills and all that sort of thing.
Exactly, yeah.
Now, is there any particular area in a business training that they should train their staff in? Like, is it particular areas that are more important than others?
Yeah, I would think that training should be related to the roles that the staff are in presently. And of course, that would be specifically targeted to the different staff in different roles. However, across the board in every organization, they should make sure that they deliver personal development programs, occupational health and safety, and also customer service, because everyone in the organization, be it an accountant who sits in the back office there, he still needs to be trained in customer service, and that's what they're going to understand.
Yeah, and so you find that businesses are a bit hesitant in getting their staff trained because they think they're going to leave, you were saying before. Is that a big problem, or?
That is not the major problem. Actually, one of the issues there is the cost of training staff, and the small to business organizations, what they do not do is factor that in their business plan. What they also are under the impression that once you start training, that's a cost factor. So once they start including that as a cost factor that has got to be invested into the business, then I think they'll look at it differently. But we are finding it difficult to get them to understand that.
Yeah, to understand that it's an investment, not an expense.
Exactly,
in that sense.
yeah.
Yeah, okay. And any quick tips for business owners with the training?
Oh, try and get training into your staff as soon as possible, because your emphasis is not only your product or service, because it's the people that's in your organization that drives those products and also the service.
Yes, because they're dealing with the customers after all, aren't they?
Exactly.
Yeah, and if they're not trained.
True.
Yeah. Okay then. All right, thank you so much, Brian. Appreciate you coming in.
You're welcome, Nicole. Thank you very much for that.
Pleasure.
Okay.
All right. Well, if you want to look into training your staff or yourself, check out Paramount Skills and Training online at www.paramountskills.com.au. Well, unfortunately, that's all we have time for today. If you want to go look us up online to www.goodbusinesstv.com.au. So see you next time for another episode of Good Business. Bye for now.